Hey there, I'm Chris Neal. I'm a licensed counselor who has been working with couples for years. In this video, I'm going to give you 11 things to get absolutely clear on when dating after divorce. Of course, there are no guarantees when it comes to matters of the heart, but these important concepts should help your chances. Now, you're going to figure out quickly that these are worth writing down, but don't go scrambling for pen and paper. I've compiled them into a checklist that you can download for free. Just click the link below to get your own copy. And one more thing, if you're not sure you're quite ready to get back on the dating scene, also check out my other video where I give you 7 questions you need to answer for yourself to decide if you're ready. Now here we go. These are 11 things you need to be clear on when starting to date after divorce. These will help you understand yourself and your expectations for your next relationship. When you can be straightforward about these, you can avoid the heartache of wasting your time and theirs only to realize you want different things out of life, either now or in the future. Be sure to stick around all the way to number 11 because that's the one in my experience that doesn't get considered enough, and it's one of the most important. Number 1, you need to know your dating goals. Why are you dating? Are you just in playtime, having fun, not taking things too seriously? Are you interested in finding a committed relationship, maybe even courting for marriage? It's really important to have at least some idea where you're at on this issue. And you'll want to have a clear understanding of where the other person is too. Nobody wants to get involved for any length of time if you're not on the same page about what comes next. If one of you is in playtime and the other is expecting something more serious, or if you have different ideas about whether you ever plan to marry again or not, this is a recipe for hurt feelings and resentment. You owe it to yourself and others to be sure you're on the same page on this. Number 2, what are your expectations for spending time together? Now, of course, we seek a new partner to have someone to spend time with, but ideas about what quality time together looks like and how that balances with personal time can vary widely. Ask yourself some of these questions. When we first start dating, how many times a week would it be good to see each other in person? What kind of communication throughout the day do I prefer? Are good morning and good night texts something that is an expectation at some point? And is that maybe a threshold in the relationship for you? While you want someone to spend time with, you may also want to enjoy a little personal time in your newfound freedom. Get ready to be clear and set boundaries with new people so you can have an experience that fits your new life. Number 3, what commitment are you willing to make right now? When you're actively dating someone, what does that even mean for you? Don't assume that you and your partner are in agreement on what commitment or fidelity look like at any stage of the relationship, but especially when you're first getting started. If one person is taking the one option at a time approach, without realizing that the other one is playing the field, it's a recipe for disaster. If you're not on the same page here, it might be best to focus on someone who's in the same basic headspace as you on this issue. Now, the decision about when and how to bring up the "are we going to be exclusive" conversation can be tricky. Too early, you might scare off a good option. Wait too long, they might think that you're not serious or wonder what you've been up to if you bring it up after they assumed you were already exclusive. Even after you've been together for a while and are committed, there are some issues you'll want to discuss, like these. What if you notice another attractive person? Let's be honest, with over 8 billion people on the planet, the odds of you only finding your partner attractive are pretty slim. Is flirting harmless in your book? What about in theirs? You don't want to undermine your relationship because your partner worries you're not fully committed. Of course, everyone has a past. Would you be comfortable with your partner maintaining a friendship with a past romantic interest? If they have kids, ongoing contact with a former partner is basically required, so things can get tricky. What about platonic friendships with people that are the same sex as you? Are you okay with that? My best advice is to assume nothing about each other's tolerances here. Getting these things out in the open will save you a whole lot of heartache. Number 4, what are your attitudes about money? Financial conflict is consistently cited as one of the main reasons marriages fail, and people in the dating world are keenly aware of this. In a recent survey of dating app users, 2/3 of people say it's important that their partner has a good credit score. It's not even uncommon these days for someone to put their credit score on their dating profile. Early on, there's always the question of who's going to pay for what when you're going out. Realize that some people equate this answer to larger questions. If one person thinks the man always pays, and the other one finds that insulting or unfair, then it's not just about the money anymore. It's about mutual respect and equity. This is one of those topics people can really be hesitant to talk about, so it's important to know what your expectations are and what you're bringing to the table in terms of financial stability, because you might be asked about it. Number 5, what about kids? In post-divorce dating, this almost always comes up in one way or another. If you're in your 20s, 30s, or maybe even 40s, the question about whether you want to have children with a new partner may be a discussion. If one or both of you already has kids, there are several things to think about. How soon will the kids be introduced to the new person? Are you willing to take on a step-parenting role? Are you willing to date someone who has kids from a previous relationship at all or not? It's not just about you and your preferences, but also the complications that can arise from blended families. It's really important to know where you stand on these issues when getting started with someone new. Hey friends, just a reminder, you don't have to remember all these or worry about writing them down. I've compiled them all into a convenient checklist. You can download it for free with the link below. I hope you'll check it out. Okay, let's get back to it. Number 6, what are your attitudes about sex? It's not just about how soon you would want to go there in a new relationship. If an unfulfilling sex life was a concern in your previous marriage, you may want to give some serious thought to what you want moving forward. If you're just thinking, well, I'd like to have sex in my next relationship, but you haven't given much thought to what that would actually look like, you may be selling yourself short. Life after divorce gives you an amazing opportunity to really think about what you want out of all parts of your life, including the bedroom. If you're not sure what you might want, how often, and how adventurous you want to be, there's no shortage of books and websites available to help you do your research. This is also something you can take up with a supportive therapist. There are many therapists out there who are specifically trained in helping people work through this particular issue. Number 7, do you need your next partner to have the same religious beliefs as you? Maybe this is general, like, I'd like to date a Christian or a Jewish person. Maybe it's something more specific, like we need to be in alignment on some very specific beliefs. If you're willing to be flexible with someone, that's important to know. If you're just getting back into the dating world, be ready to talk clearly about what you actually believe and how important those beliefs are to you. Number 8, what about privacy? Even happy couples who've been together for years can struggle with privacy concerns, and this can come up in many different ways. It's important to know what things you really want to keep to yourself, even if you land in another committed relationship. This could be anything from details about past relationships to access to your internet browsing history. One thing that comes up a lot these days is access to each other's phones. Would you be comfortable with a partner looking on your phone, seeing who you've been texting and what about? Now, just because someone doesn't want you going through their phone doesn't necessarily mean they're up to some kind of funny business. At the same time, someone who's been cheated on may be sensitive about this issue. For any relationship to work, you're going to have to be able and willing to set boundaries with each other. Just because you're partnered with someone doesn't mean you're both willing to be an open book about everything in your lives. Give it some thought and have an idea about what your tolerances are. Number 9, most couples expect to have some amount of shared values about the world. This isn't just about a religion, but things like how we speak to each other, how do we resolve conflict, and how do we view the world. If you've already tried online dating, you've probably already seen this on other people's profiles. If you voted for this person, do not contact me. In our highly polarized world, political views seem to matter quite a bit to people. Could you be with someone who has really different political views than you? Be ready to own yours, because I promise you will meet others who care about this. Number 10. What's negotiable for you and what's not? Of course, no match is perfect. Even happy couples, 40 to 60% of the disagreements don't actually have a solution. So compromise is important for a relationship to sustain. But you also don't want to give in on too many things that are really important to you. If you do that, you could be back in the same position again in a few years, and nobody wants that. Give some serious thought to which of these issues you're really locked in on and which ones you could give a little on for the right person. Maybe you don't really want kids, but an amazing person has a really terrific teenager who's graduating and going off to college soon, and you'll have the place to yourselves then. Maybe you could tolerate someone who's a little more or less politically conservative than you, as long as you're pretty close on religious beliefs. It's also important to know your non-starters and stick to them. It can be tempting to give in on things you really care about in the interest of building a relationship with someone you otherwise like and care about. But giving in on your non-starters eventually leads to problems, and nobody wants to have regrets months or years later in a relationship when you knew better from the start. You deserve to have the person you want, and maybe it will just take a little more patience and persistence to find that person. Number 11. Now for the one I think is incredibly important, but I don't think people think about often enough. What does your intuition tell you? All other things aside, sometimes we just get a feeling about someone one way or the other. Either we feel deeply connected to someone surprising, or there's someone who looks great on paper and may be perfectly nice, but you just don't feel a spark with them. If you're in a good place, you've done the work to heal from the past and believe you're seeing things clearly, learn to rely on your intuition about other people. Trust your gut. If someone just gives you the ick, even if you can't put your finger on why, I think it's important to respect that. Maybe your heart or your subconscious are telling you something your eyes, ears, and conscious mind are not picking up on. Now, if you're not sure you're seeing things clearly with someone, is that about you or about them? If you're not sure it's time to get back out there, be sure to check out my other video linked below. I'll give you 7 questions to help you decide if you're ready to date after divorce. Now, if you think you might just need more time to figure it out with this person, don't be afraid to go slowly. You just got your freedom back. There's no need to give it up again too quickly for the wrong person. You deserve the best, and it's perfectly fine to take your time to decide what that is. If someone else can't respect that, that may tell you something important about how compatible you really are. Look, I know this can be an overwhelming time, but it can also be exciting and fun. It's your chance to set your personal life on a new path filled with love, affection, and everything you've wished for. This is your time, so try to relax and enjoy it. Next time, we'll get into those 7 questions to help you decide if you're ready to date after divorce, so you'll definitely want to check that out. Be sure to subscribe to the channel and click the bell to be notified when a new video comes out. Hey friends, thanks for being here. I'm glad you're here. I'm always grateful for your time and attention. And until next time, be well.